What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. My name's Zach. Today we're going to take a look at the GH5 and why I'm probably going to get rid of it. Insert the B-roll here, Zach. Jesus, quit messing around and just do it. Okay, so before I get into why I'm probably going to get rid of it, I want to tell you about some things that I like about the camera, and it is a long list. This camera is awesome. So I got it because the first camera I ever bought was a Panasonic G7, and I thought it was probably the simplest camera to learn how to use and to start on. And it packs a bunch of features on it that are really nice for anybody, especially in that price range for, $500 on sale for Black Friday. So I thought that I would give this camera a go because of all the hype that it has and the features that it packs in here, knowing that I still own a couple Panasonic lenses, one being the 14-140. Great lens, by the way. A huge range right there you can use. The second one being a prime Rokinon lens, 12mm f2, which is actually pretty decent. I figured I would give this camera a go because I've got them lenses left over. And I also picked up a Metabone speed booster, which is amazing. I mean, it is super pricey, but this little thing is awesome. Probably one of the best things you could buy for a Micro Four Thirds camera. So, to start the list off, I love the ergonomics of this camera. I think it feels good in the hand, but I don't think it feels as good as a Canon, or in my case, an 80D. I've got an 80D. I think in order for this camera to be perfect hand-wise for me, the grip needs to be a little bit deeper for my hands, my fingers here. But other than that, and this display button, I have nothing else bad to say about it. And the deepness of the grip is not a bad thing. It's just my personal preference. But this display button, I hit it every time I pick the camera up. Say I got it sitting down like that and I go to pick it up, display button every single time. And that gets old, but that can be disabled in the menus, so it becomes a button that you don't even use. If you hit it on accident and it's turned off, it doesn't matter. But I love everything about it. All these custom function buttons, you got one up top, function 1. Then you've got 2, 3, 4 right here on this along this side. And then you got a 5th one up here in the corner, which I use from the factory. It just turns the electronic viewfinder on and off with the screen, depending on which one you want to use. So the custom function buttons on here are just great. I mean, you can set it up however you want to do it, and I think that's awesome. I wish other companies would catch on to that. Be a little more customizable. I know my Sony has 3, I think. Maybe 4 that you can program on there to do what you want, but you can take this and program it to however you want to do it and to your, to meet your needs, and I think that's cool. Also on this, GH5's got a joystick right here, and I think that is just the coolest feature ever because instead of using this D-pad down here, it's a circle and a D-pad that spins. Also, you can set it like aperture, like that's what I do because that's what I'm used to on other camera systems. But it's got a D-pad integrated into it, or the joystick, and you can set the joystick center button to like press OK or press menu or something. And that's how I use the joystick to navigate the menu on this only. I don't even use anything else. I think that's awesome. Onto the dials on the top, you got your standards. There's also 3 custom function up here you can set. So 3 completely different like setups you could use. And on the other side, you got your time lapse and your shot modes and either single shot or burst or stuff like that. You can toggle over here. And I think having all these, it makes everything easy. Having all these different buttons make everything easy. You don't have to go through the menus like the Sony. You got to do everything in the menus, and I hate that. This camera, you can set it up with just one button. Your time lapse, done. I'm ready. All I got to do is change the time on it. So it's just super easy to use. This right here, the toggle for manual focus on and off right here. The little wheel, the second wheel that's on here. I think that's nice and very, very easy to get to and fast. Then one of the main reasons I bought this thing is because of this right here. With all the 4K features, which I don't care for, I like the fast frame rate 1080p for slow motion stuff. But the technology behind this camera and having this screen right here makes it pretty much the ultimate camera. So I think that is cool. This camera has variable frame rates, like I just mentioned, which means I can shoot in high frame rates. 120 is about the normal, but this camera can shoot up to like 180, I believe. So you can go as fast as that if you wanted. But I've heard and seen reviews online to where the 180 is not very smooth, that 120 is a lot better, or 150, 140, somewhere around that range. Works better for smoothness versus 180. But there's a catch to it. Whenever you have the variable frame rate enabled, or high frame rates enabled, it turns off your video autofocus. So you can't press down the shutter during a video and try to refocus on something. It won't let you if you're in high frame rate mode. You got to be in like 60p, 30, or I think it's 24. You got to be in one of those and locked in it. You can't be in like 80 or 120, which I like. So it turns that mode off, and I don't really like that. And I don't know why you wouldn't be able to use that. I don't know. It must be some kind of internal thing that won't let you do it, but I don't like that feature about it. Moving on to the stabilizer in this thing, it's phenomenal. If you got a stabilized lens like this, 14-140, it's just a kit lens. It's the zoom kit lens. If you have this and you turn the internal stabilization on in here, I think you have to update the camera to be able to utilize dual IS. But when you put those together, you can sit here and handheld stuff and it looks perfect. It's the best stabilization I've ever used. And my Sony has it too, in the camera and lens. Just like this. This blows it out of the water. It's 10 times better. I was videoing in the backyard the other day trying to watch a bird and just holding it as still as I could and looking at the footage. It's still. It's just very little movement, and I think I was zoomed all the way out too. It's as close as I can get to something, and it handled it great. And I think that is awesome, especially for video. But the only thing is, I don't really use this for video much. I probably should, but I've been using the Metabones over everything because it's so awesome. It makes your shot wider, and it lets more light in your camera when you do that. So I've been using that mainly all the time. The next thing I want to talk about is the menu itself. The menu system in this camera is so easy to use. You can go in and everything's in little tabs on the left to where you can, go to a certain section of menus that you want. Instead of having Sony like 30 pages of it, you've got just a list of like 6, I think, or 7 maybe. And which one of the menus is actually a custom menu where you can put all your favorites down in there and go straight to them, and I think that's cool. But you can go straight to like, straight to your button options to where you can program buttons and stuff, or you can go straight to your autofocus settings. It makes it so much more simpler, and it breaks it down even easier as you go through the menus. No matter who you are, you should not have any problem with finding what you want on this camera. It is so simple and laid out perfect. The battery life on this thing is actually really good. Compared to my 80D, I'd say it's pretty close. The 80D is going to be better because there's not so much going on in the camera body itself. There's not no high frame rates. There's not no, big digital screen and turning on and off when you go up to the viewfinder and electronic viewfinder on top of that. That kills battery, and it takes a lot of battery as your day goes on. But I find that I get a lot out of this camera, and just like I get a lot out of the 80D. But the battery life on this is very good. I don't like that they only gave me a wall charger that I have to have a cord to use. It's not like a little block, you put the battery in it and plug it straight in the wall. I wish I would have got one of those with this camera, but I didn't. I'm assuming nobody does. I bought it brand new, so I don't like that. That's just a little quirky thing, but I don't like it. One positive thing about this camera is it has a ton of video features. This camera was basically designed for videoers. That's why everybody's going so crazy over the camera. It's got zebras, it's got focus peaking, it's got variable frame rates. It's got the dual IS, obviously, I've already talked about that. It's got histogram. It's got all kinds of stuff to help you and make video and easier for you if that's, if you're into video. It's got dual card slots, so you can actually record all you want. And I think they lay over to where you can take one card out and replace it while the other one's still recording, so your camera never stops. And there's not a recording limit on this camera. So if you want to, video long, podcast or interviews or whatever that takes longer than 29 minutes is the usual on any other camera like this 80D, this camera just rolls on and on. As long as you got battery cards, as long as you got memory cards and batteries, you're good. It can record as long as you want. The battery goes in on the bottom door down there. And then on this left side, on the very top, you got a mic input, headphone. It's got a full-size HDMI cord on it. and a USB-C on the bottom. So it's up to date on all the ports as far as connectability goes. It's got everything. I mean, the full-size HDMI is nice also, because you ain't got to bring this little 1-foot adapter cord or just a 1-foot HDMI with a micro on one end around with you all the time. A full-size HDMI is always better in my opinion. It's a lot easier because you're going to have them. Everybody's got HDMI cords. So that's enough talk about what I do like, because it is all kinds of things. But the one thing I do not like is the autofocus. If you're taking pictures, it's decent. It's actually pretty decent. But if you're doing video, it's awful. The video autofocus on this is about unusual if you're not behind the camera monitoring it and watching it all the time. And with me, me doing these videos right here, this Canon, I got to rely on it to get me in focus, because I'm on this side of the camera. I can't be on the back of it. Even though it's got an articulating screen, I can't sit there and watch it, because that's what it looks like right here. I've got to look at, it's hard to do with one person. You need good autofocus and reliable autofocus. That is one of the reasons why I bought that A6500, is just because of that. I wanted good autofocus where I ain't gotta be worried about it all the time. As good as this camera is, I'm probably going to be getting rid of it just because of the autofocus. I've done the firmware update, and it did help. It actually helped a lot, but it does not compare to this Canon or that Sony in there. It is nowhere near it. And if I was to buy lenses on here to make the video autofocus kind of acceptable, like native lenses, I'd like to have like a 12-35, and I'd like to have the wide angle, like I think it's 7-14. They're so expensive. I don't want to invest that much money in something that I'm still not even sure about. I would rather get rid of this thing right here and put that money towards a new Canon body whenever they decide to up their game and do some high frame rates at an affordable price, because that's going to be me. If it's a Canon with 120 frames per second, 1080, I'm sold. That's what I want. I love this camera right here, and it's simple to use also, but it just doesn't have the video features that this one does, and the 65. That is probably why I'm going to be getting rid of it. And when I do, I'm either going to, like I said, I'm going to put that money towards a new body whenever one comes out that I'm satisfied with, or I'm going to buy some more L-glass lenses. If you saw my other video about when I bought my first L lens right here, if you haven't seen it, check it out on my channel. I bought a 16-35, which is a wide angle for a full frame, and I don't own a full frame yet. So this is, I think it turns out to be like a 24.5 or 25-55 or something like that. This lens is amazing. It takes awesome pictures on the Canon. And if I use it with the Metabones, I can use it on the GH5. So it's been really cool. I'm really enjoying this lens. But I could put that money on the GH5, which I probably won't use that much unless I'm in the studio here or in the office, and buy some more really nice stuff like this that's going to save me in the long run. Because, I mean, these things look great. I'd rather invest in Canon glass than Panasonic glass, because you can buy adapters and use them lenses on whatever you want, basically. I mean, I can use it on my Sony in there also with the Sigma MC11. So that is my thoughts on that. I'm probably going to get rid of it, and the Metabones. I'm going to sell the Metabones or probably return it. So yeah, let me know what y'all think down in the comments. I know there's a bunch of videos on the same deal, the same type of thing I'm talking about here, but let me know what everybody thinks. It's an amazing camera, and I would not recommend it to anybody. I mean, it's great. Just the video autofocus, for me, it just ain't cutting it compared to these other ones that I own. I wish I was in the position money-wise to keep it, because, I mean, I really like it. And if you was going to keep it in a room like this and use it for, tech videos, or where you got an external monitor all the time and you're using manual focus, there's nothing better. I mean, other than like low light issues, but that's not an issue if you're somewhere where you have artificial lighting, it doesn't matter, because the camera will be fine if you got enough lighting. So yeah, let me know what everybody thinks down in the comments. If you liked the video, thumbs it up for me. I'd really like it. I don't have many people liking my things, and I feel like I'm putting out pretty decent content now. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'd love to have you following along, and I'll try to make some new stuff for you that you'll enjoy. Hope everybody has a good day, and I'll catch y'all later. See ya.